The President of the United States, he was in the face of the head of NATO and laying out the strongest case I've ever heard. Why in God's name are we paying the bulk of money to protect every one of our allied countries, every NATO country? They're paying far less than we are, even as a percentage of GDP. And we're paying it to protect them from Russia, and they're making Russia and Putin rich again. Now, I've known you for a long time. And I think you were the only other person besides Donald Trump that was comfortable with that entire conversation.
Sean, I remember it well. I was incredibly comfortable. This is what friends do for friends. You tell the truth. You speak the reality. You don't live in a fantasy land. You don't pretend it's okay. It's not okay to send American kids to fight and to American dollars to go support you if you're not prepared to do it yourself. That's what he spoke to the Europeans on that entire trip, not just in that morning breakfast, as I remember it, but the entire time we were there. We wanted Europe to stand up and do the work to defend itself, and then we'd be with them. We'll support you, but you got to take the lead. This is your neck of the woods in the first instance. And we'd also understood you had to shut down the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, so we sanctioned it. You couldn't let Germany suffer by being so dependent on Russian gas. And we can see the results now. Biden comes in, allows the Nord Stream 2 pipeline to continue to be completed, and it's not surprising that we're seeing the results on the ground in southeast Ukraine as we sit here today.
And be clear that you and President Trump prevented the waiver for the Nord Stream pipeline. We've heard similar language from Putin as it relates to the Baltics. In 2014, he annexed Crimea. We see the possibility of potential military action and activities going on in Belarus. You tell me, is this going to take all of Ukraine? Are the territorial ambitions of Putin now to take over Ukraine? And where do we go from there?
Sean, it depends on the reaction of the West. This is not predetermined. It's not inevitable that this happened because of the good work that President Trump and our team did. It didn't happen on our watch. The only thing that's changed, Sean, Vladimir Putin didn't change. American leadership changed. And so you're right, whether it was Crimea or Abkhazia or the other places Putin has taken little chunks of sovereign nations, it'll continue to happen so long as the United States is on its back foot. And the sanctions I've seen so far, heck, one of the two banks they sanctioned, a bank called VEB, was already under sanctions, Sean. I promise you, Putin saw that, and what he reads in that is green light. These folks aren't going to take this seriously. And unfortunately, Sean, this impacts people at home. We're going to have higher gasoline prices because they've shut down our energy, and now Russia will make a fortune off of high gas prices. This is bad for Americans all across the country. President Biden needs to get back out in front of this, reestablish deterrence, and demand that our European partners do exactly the same thing.
You know, the last time you were on this program, I asked you if you agreed with me that the three areas in the world we got to watch is Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan. You're headed to Taiwan. I want to hear more about that. And then obviously the mullahs in Iran. The Olympics are now over. I would imagine after watching and listening to the rhetoric of China talking about reunification. That's not reunification. That's taking over a sovereign nation, flying their fighter jets over Taiwan airspace. The crackdown in Hong Kong, COVID-19, the Uyghurs being oppressed, forced labor, etc. Anything Joe's going to be able to do to stop the communist Chinese from taking over Taiwan? Because I don't see what he could possibly do.
America has the tools. We have the capacity to support the Taiwanese people. We absolutely can. We did it for 4 years. Everyone knows exactly what levers there are. The economic relationship, to provide them with weapon systems, to provide them with diplomatic support. Sean, that's why I'm going. I want them to know that there are many Americans who want the people of Taiwan to continue to live the life that they've lived and not be under the jackboot of the Chinese Communist Party. He has the tools, Sean. It's simply not clear if they're prepared to engage in the world in a way that protects the things that matter most to America and most to the countries all around the world that for so long have looked to us as that beacon of freedom. I haven't seen them use them. I pray that they will begin to do so.
What do you make of this unholy alliance that has emerged, and that is Russia, China, and Iran? It seems that Russia and China are helping Iran in their pursuit of nuclear weapons. Do you see the same thing?
I do. You know, as you go through that list of countries, Sean, I've been sanctioned by two of those three. Perhaps the third one's on its way as well. Look, they're going to work together because they don't have very many friends in the world. But if we're weak, Countries in the Middle East will grow closer to them. Countries in Southeast Asia won't feel like they can push back against China. Those countries don't need our soldiers. They don't even often ask for them. What they want is they want to know that the United States is with them. We're their friend. If you want to engage in commerce with us, we'll be right there alongside you. I don't think they have confidence that the United States under President Biden will do that. And for that reason, I think this axis between China, Iran, and Russia will continue to grow, and they'll make more and more friends the weaker that we are.
If we could work it out, we'd love to have you on from Taiwan. This is pivotal. I think the territorial ambitions of the Communist Chinese are as clear as the territorial ambitions of Russia and Putin. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being with us. When we come back, we have an announcement that is straight ahead.